Zinedine Zidane's three-word verdict on Man United job amid Ruben Amorim pressure. Zinedine Zidane has been out of management since leaving Real Madrid in 2021 but has been linked with the Manchester United job amid Ruben Amorim's struggles. There are two demands Zinedine Zidane will make if he is asked to take over from Ruben Amorim at Man United. The France icon has been out of work since parting ways with Real Madrid in 2021. Zinedine Zidane would only join Manchester United if two conditions were met, according to a former teammate. Zidane, 53, has been tentatively linked with the Man United head coach's job for some time, but as things stand, Ruben Amorim remains in charge of the Red Devils despite a tough start to life at Old Trafford. The Portuguese has picked up just 28 points from 29 Premier League games he's managed, with the latest disappointment coming against Fulham on Sunday, as United drew 1-1 at Craven Cottage. The draw did allow the Red Devils to register their first point of the 2025-26 Premier League, meaning they are 16th in the league after 2 matches. And despite welcoming 4 players, Benjamin Sesko, Diego Leon, Matheus Cunha, and Bryan Mbeumo, Amorim's side, so far, have not looked much better than they did in the previous campaign, during which they finished 15th in the Premier League as well as losing the Europa League final against Spurs. And for now, at least, Amorim's job appears to be safe despite his side's consistently poor performances and results. But results must improve sooner rather than later, or Amorim's position could be under threat. Several names, such as Crystal Palace head coach Oliver Glasner and former England manager Gareth Southgate, currently lead the odds to become Man United's next manager. Meanwhile, Zidane, who is out of work, is joint 5th favourite alongside Fulham boss Marco Silva and Aston Villa head coach Unai Emery. And if Zizou were to take charge of United, he would require 2 conditions to be met, according to former France teammate Emmanuel Petit. Speaking in 2024, Petit said, "I'm not sure that he speaks very good English as well. And communication is very important in the dressing room. Honestly, I know a little bit, Zidane, and he needs to get guarantees if he wants to sign over there in Manchester United." At the moment, the environment at Manchester United for years has not been good. The stability of the bench, the level of the players as well, the expectation of the club is not the same that it used to be. Petit added, "United is still a huge club, but not on the pitch anymore. And Zizou is very conscious and very careful about that, the quality of the players. At the moment, when you look at the team, I'm not convinced at all about the level of some players. If he takes the job at Manchester United, that means he's got solutions." Zidane has been without a managerial role since leaving Real Madrid, where he won 3 Champions Leagues and 2 La Liga titles, in 2021, but has been heavily linked with the soon-to-be vacant France job as current head coach Didier Deschamps is due to step down from the role following the 2026 World Cup. Odds slashed on next Man United manager after poor start to the season as 2 frontrunners emerge. Ruben Amorim has endured a tough first 9 months in charge of Manchester United. 2 frontrunners have emerged to replace Ruben Amorim if he is sacked by Manchester United following a torrid first 9 months as Red Devils head coach. Amarim, 40, first took charge of Man United on November 1 as Erik ten Hag's successor at the club. The Portuguese came with a glowing reputation, having led Sporting CP to 3 Primeira Liga crowns and 2 Taça da Ligas in 4.5 seasons at the Lisbon-based club. However, things have not gone as well as the 40-year-old would have anticipated since arriving at Old Trafford. United finished a record-low 15th in the Premier League in 2024-25, as well as losing 1-0 against Spurs in the Europa League final back in May. And despite welcoming for signings, Benjamin Sesko, Diego Leon, Matheus Cunha, and Bryan Mbeumo, to the club, the start to United's 2025-26 campaign has been disappointing. The Red Devils have earned just 1 point from 2 games this term, having lost 1-0 against Arsenal before drawing 1-1 at Fulham on Sunday. Amarim has now taken charge of 29 Premier League matches since arriving at United, with his side picking up just 28 points in the English top flight, returning an appalling 24.7% win percentage. On Monday, while speaking on The Wayne Rooney Show, former Manchester United forward and club record goal scorer, Wayne Rooney, explained how he felt Amarim no longer has time for excuses this season. "There are no excuses now for the manager this season," Rooney claimed. he's got to start getting results and get the results quickly, because once you start getting into October and November, if the results don't change drastically, then that's where the pressure comes. And there are no suggestions at this current time that United are considering their head coach's position, but if results don't improve, the pressure, like Rooney said, will begin to mount. So, who are the front runners to replace Amarim if he were to part ways with United? Unfortunately for Crystal Palace fans, their head coach, Oliver Glasner, is currently the joint favourite at odds of 4-1 according to Oddchecker. Man United risk losing their own Zinedine Zidane after ruthless Ruben Amorim decision. Manchester United star Kobbie Mainoo is yet to play a single minute this season, and the midfielder is now open to leaving Old Trafford before the transfer window slams shut. A Manchester United star who has been compared to Zinedine Zidane is reportedly considering leaving the club this summer after being left on their bench for the first 2 games of the new season. Kobbie Mainoo was an unused substitute for United's 1-0 defeat to Arsenal and 1-1 draw with Fulham, with Ruben Amorim preferring Bruno Fernandes, Casemiro and Manuel Ugarte ahead of him. As a result, TalkSport are now reporting that the 20-year-old is open to leaving United in the final week of the transfer window. Mainoo has yet to agree a new deal with the club, and his current contract is due to expire in 2027. United legend Paul Scholes has previously likened Mainoo to Zidane, telling The Guardian last year, "He's the nearest thing I've seen to Zidane in taking a ball, receiving the ball, cruising past people. I heard there was a young lad holding his own against Casemiro in training, sometimes better than him. But you have to go out and do it. The first time I saw him, I remember that calmness. The way he received the ball with confidence, I just couldn't believe such a young player could do that. That calmness didn't come for me as quick as it did for Kobbie. I'd say it came 5 or 6 years into my career. That's why it amazes me. He's so relaxed, the game's so easy to him. It's almost like poetry in motion. That calmness will be vital throughout his career. It's something just in you. The sky's the limit for this lad if he keeps his head down. And he looks like the type who will stay on an even keel." Amarim was quizzed about Mainoo after the Fulham game and warned the England international that he is competing for a place in the team with club captain Fernandes. "He's fighting for the position now with Bruno, and I changed 2 midfielders," Amarim said. Breaking news and massive one. Omar Barada comments send Kobbie Mainoo Manchester United transfer hint. Kobbie Mainoo's Man United future is in doubt ahead of the summer transfer window slamming shut in less than a week's time. Ahead of Manchester United's Premier League opener against Arsenal, there was a debate about who would partner Bruno Fernandes in midfield. Following the additions of Matheus Cunha and Bryan Mbeumo to the attacking ranks, it was inevitable Fernandes would be deployed as one of the 2 number 8s. He frequently dropped deep last season and was often more effective from the engine room. Despite regressing in each of the last 2 Premier League campaigns, Casemiro was given the nod for the season curtain raiser. He was tasked with keeping order in midfield. Into the final year of his United contract and turning 34 next February, many believed the club should have pushed to sell the Brazilian this summer. Instead, he has started each of the Reds' opening 2 games, having kept his place for Sunday's stalemate at Fulham. As a result of partnering Fernandes once again, Manuel Ugarte and Kobbie Mainoo were on the bench for the 2nd game running. And just like against Arsenal, Ugarte was the one called upon by Ruben Amorim during the second half while Mainoo was not. It means the 20-year-old is still waiting to make his first Premier League appearance of the season. You would be hard-pressed to find anyone who predicted Mainoo would remain glued to the bench for United's opening 2 games. Although he has just under 2 years remaining on his contract at Old Trafford, the England international's future at the club is in doubt. Amarim indicated last week that no progress has been made on tying him down to a new deal. Amarim has struggled to settle on Mainoo's best position since arriving at United, tasking him with playing as a number 8, a number 10, and even as a false 9. It is no secret he is a forward-thinking player, meaning, in Amarim's defense, it is hard to justify playing him alongside Fernandes in the center of midfield amid the duo's attacking intentions. It is why Amarim had a point when he said after the draw at Craven Cottage that Mainoo and Fernandes are competing for the same role. "He's fighting for the position now with Bruno," Amarim said. "And I changed 2 midfielders. I let Mason Mount, play there because we want to score a goal, and when I changed I felt the team need to return to one holding midfielder near Bruno. So he, Mainoo, just needs to fight for the position with Bruno, as it should be at Manchester United. Sometimes he's going to play with Bruno, but at the moment he's fighting in training with Bruno for the position. With less than a week of the window left, United still want to sign a midfielder. They want a player of an athletic profile that can seemingly complement Fernandes' characteristics in the engine room. The prospect of bringing in a suitable partner risks pushing Mainoo even further down the pecking order. And if that situation transpires, United, who still need to generate cash via sales this summer, could find themselves in a position where they are prepared to cash in on a player who not all that long ago was considered as their crown jewel. As a result of not currently being at the forefront of Amarim's plans, United, if Chief Executive Omar Barada's comments about player sales are anything to go by, might be willing to cash in on the academy graduate. Kobbie Mainoo has already named dreamy club amid fresh Man United transfer exit talk. Manchester United academy graduate Kobbie Mainoo continues to be linked with a summer switch away from Old Trafford, having struggled to nail down a spot on Ruben Amorim's starting 11. When recently asked about Mainoo's future at the club, Amarim stated it was down to Director of Football Jason Wilcox to agree new terms with players. That part is with Jason, so he is our player, Amarim said. He has a contract, I didn't hear any news about that. A recent report from The Athletic claims Mainoo is open to leave Manchester United due to Amarim preferring other midfield options, though the England international's options are limited. It would come as a major disappointment for the United faithful if Mainoo were to depart, given the Stockport-born star has already made it clear that playing for Manchester United has been a dream of his since joining the academy as a 9-year-old. It is a dream come true. It is a tough place to come. We had to get the win. I have still not come down from it. I still feel like I am dreaming, to be honest, he told TNT Sports after scoring a 97th winner for United against Wolves in a 4-3 winner at Mainoo back in 2024. To start playing in the Premier League for my boyhood club has been amazing. Now it's about trying to win more games. Alejandro Garnacho expected to join Chelsea this week despite Man United deadlock. Chelsea remain in talks with Manchester United for Alejandro Garnacho, TalkSport understands. There is an expectation that a deal for the Argentinian will be completed before the transfer window shuts on September 1st. Man United continue to insist on £50 million. Chelsea have had multiple bids rejected and are not yet close to that number. Yet all parties expect to find a compromise before the week is out. Garnacho has already agreed terms with the Blues. A deal for Leipzig's Xavi Simons remains possible, but there is no club-to-club agreement yet, which is why the Dutch midfielder continues to be available for selection. Chelsea's priority is to secure the outgoings of Christopher Nkunku and Nicolas Jackson. RB Leipzig are one club in talks with Nkunku, and a return to his former club could unlock Simons' move. Garnacho looks set to leave Man United and join Chelsea after being told he's not part of manager Ruben Amorim's plans. The 21-year-old was informed by Amarim that he can depart as part of a bomb squad with Marcus Rashford, Jadon Sancho and more. He didn't feature during pre-season and has not played any part in United's opening Premier League games. Garnacho has been with the Red Devils since 2020 and broke through the youth setup into the first team 2 years later. He's gone on to make 144 appearances in total for the club, scoring 26 goals and providing 22 assists. Chelsea's bomb squad latest. Chelsea are set to bring in Garnacho, but they are also expecting multiple players to leave before the deadline. The Blues have already sold Carney Chukwuemeka to Borussia Dortmund in a £24 million deal. The attacking midfielder signed a 5-year contract as the move was formalised on Tuesday. Argentine defender Aaron Anselmino will also join Chukwuemeka at Dortmund on a straight loan deal. Meanwhile, Jackson has several suitors, including Aston Villa, Newcastle and Bayern Munich. Napoli's focus is on trying to agree a deal for Rasmus Højlund, but they have also discussed Jackson. Man United can seal £100 million one-in, one-out Carlos Baleba blockbuster before deadline. Manchester United will be able to sign Brighton midfielder Carlos Baleba if they are satisfied with letting one star leave Old Trafford. Baleba has been the interest of Man United, although the Red Devils' pursuit of the 21-year-old has cooled due to his high transfer valuation and the need to sell players. Ruben Amorim has already signed Matheus Cunha and Bryan Mbeumo from Premier League clubs, with the pair starting their Man United careers brightly. Baleba has 61 Premier League appearances and could also hit the ground running immediately. Man United transfer news, Kobbie Mainoo future, Sen Lamans update, Antony latest. All the latest Manchester United transfer news about Sen Lamans, Gianluigi Donnarumma, Adam Wharton, Angelo Stiller, Carlos Baleba, Antony, Jadon Sancho, Rasmus Højlund and more. Hello and welcome to the United Up TV News Live Manchester United News today. With just 7 days of the transfer window remaining, United know they will have to act quickly to get any deals tied up, and it looks as if their next summer signing is on the way. Royal Antwerp goalkeeper Sen Lamans is set to make the move to Old Trafford, having missed the Belgian side's match against Mechelen on Sunday. Lamans is expected to seal a £17 million transfer to United. That move is expected to place further doubt on the futures of Andre Onana and Alti Bayindir. Ruben Amorim again chose Bayindir as his starting goalkeeper for the 1-1 draw at Fulham at the weekend. United were also linked with Gianluigi Donnarumma, but the Paris Saint-Germain goalkeeper looks to be heading to Manchester City. Meanwhile, United captain Bruno Fernandes continues to draw interest from Saudi Arabia, while Alejandro Garnacho, Antony, Jadon Sancho and Rasmus Højlund could all leave the club within the next 7 days. Manchester United transfer roundup, what's really happening at Old Trafford? Ever wondered what it's like to be a Manchester United fan during transfer season? 1 minute you're celebrating a potential new signing, the next you're watching your favourite player pack their bags for another club. Well, grab a cup of tea because we're about to dive into all the latest transfer drama happening at Old Trafford right now. The Red Devils are once again making headlines, but this time it's not just about who they're buying, it's also about who might be leaving. From goalkeeper targets to striker exits, United's transfer window is busier than a Manchester street on match day. Let's break down everything you need to know about the players coming and going. The goalkeeper hunt, why United want Sen Lamans. First up, let's talk goalkeepers. You might be asking yourself, who on earth is Sen Lamans? Don't worry, you're not alone. This 23-year-old Belgian goalkeeper currently plays for Royal Antwerp, and United are seriously interested in bringing him to Old Trafford. But here's the thing, United are willing to spend around £17.3 million on a player who won't immediately replace their current number one. So why are they doing this? Simple. They're thinking about the future. Lamans isn't being bought to start right away. Instead, United see him as a long-term project, someone who can develop and potentially become their main goalkeeper in years to come. Think about it this way, United learned the hard way that having just one reliable goalkeeper can be risky. Injuries happen, form drops, and suddenly you're scrambling for solutions. By bringing in Lamans now, they're planning ahead. It's like buying insurance, you hope you won't need it immediately, but you'll be glad you have it when the time comes. But there's a catch. To afford Lamans, United might need to sell other players first. And that brings us to our next story. Antony's exit strategy, multiple clubs circle. Remember when Antony arrived at United for £85 million? Those were different times. Now, just 2 years later, the Brazilian winger might be on his way out. But where could he end up? The answer is several places. Atletico Madrid are currently leading the race to sign him. The Spanish club sees potential in Antony and believes a change of scenery might help him rediscover his best form. It's not uncommon for players to struggle at one club and then flourish at another. Football is funny that way. Then there's Real Betis, who aren't giving up on their dream of bringing Antony back to Spain. They know him well from his previous time in European football, and sometimes familiar surroundings can work wonders for a player's confidence. But here's where it gets interesting. Al Nassr, the Saudi Arabian club that made headlines by signing Cristiano Ronaldo, are also in the mix. Why does this matter for the Lamans deal? Because if United sell Antony to Al Nassr, they'll have the money they need to complete the Lamans transfer. It's like a domino effect, one move enables another. The question is, which move will happen first? Will United wait for the right Antony offer before pursuing Lamens, or will they take a risk and spend the money up front? Kobbie Mainoo, the future is bright. Now, let's talk about some good news. Kobbie Mainoo, the young English midfielder who has been impressing everyone, is staying put. Manager Ruben Amorim and the coaching staff think very highly of him, and that's no surprise to anyone who's watched him play. But here's something interesting: the coaching staff believes Mainoo needs to work on his stamina and running power, especially when playing in a double pivot. That's football speak for two central midfielders working together. Does this mean he's not good enough? Absolutely not. It simply means they see areas where he can improve, and they're confident he can do it. This is actually great news for United fans. It shows the club is committed to developing young talent rather than just buying expensive players from other clubs. Mainoo represents everything good about United's youth system, and seeing him grow into a key player will be exciting to watch. The Donnarumma dream, is it realistic? Gianluigi Donnarumma, the Italian goalkeeper who plays for Paris Saint-Germain, has caught United's attention. With only 1 year left on his PSG contract, he could be available for a reasonable price. But is this move likely to happen? Here's the reality: while United are interested, they're also being smart about it. Donnarumma would be an incredible signing. He's proven at the highest level and could immediately improve United's goalkeeping situation. However, United seem to be treating Lamens as their main target, with Donnarumma as a backup option. Why might this be? It could come down to money, age, or simply different visions for the future. Donnarumma is established but expensive. Lamens is younger and cheaper but less proven. Which approach is better? That's for United's management to decide. Jadon Sancho, the Roman holiday? Jadon Sancho's United career has been like a rollercoaster, full of ups and downs. Now, it looks like he might be heading for the exit, with AS Roma showing serious interest. The deal on the table is interesting. Roma want to loan Sancho for the season with an obligation to buy him permanently for €23 million next summer. Sancho would earn between €5 to €6 million per year, plus bonuses. For a player who hasn't quite found his feet at United, this could be the fresh start he needs. But Roma aren't the only option. Besiktas in Turkey and Borussia Dortmund in Germany are also keeping an eye on the situation. Dortmund is particularly interesting because that's where Sancho played his best football before joining United. Sometimes, going back to where you were happy can reignite your career. Sancho himself seems confident about securing a move away from United this summer. When a player feels that way, it usually means something is going to happen. The question isn't if he'll leave, but where he'll go. Rasmus Højlund, Milan calling. Here's a story that might surprise some United fans. Rasmus Højlund, the young Danish striker who joined United with such promise, might be heading to AC Milan. Big news and massive one. Ruben Amorim has sent a £50 million transfer message. Man United cannot ignore it. The transfer window closes on Monday and Manchester United still need to make at least one more addition. When a team changes manager and the dust settles following the initial hysteria, often one of the first questions to be asked is which players will benefit most from the new man's arrival. If a manager can start to get a tune out of an expensive recruit who has so far failed to prove their worth, they've instant credit in the bank from fans and those within the club's hierarchy. But there's a lot more to it than they played well under them before, and so this time should be no different. Take Erik ten Hag's arrival at United as an example. The Dutchman was keen to surround himself with home comforts, regularly targeting players either from, or who had spent time in, the Eredivisie. Yet, having inherited a player he had coached previously at Ajax in Donny van de Beek, he failed to get the best out of the midfielder, as Ole Gunnar Solskjaer had before him, and van de Beek was shipped off to Girona after playing just 8 league games in 2 years under ten Hag. When Ruben Amorim was appointed United manager in November 2024, it would be wrong to suggest there was instant hope that he could get the best out of Manuel Ugarte. The pair worked together at Sporting Lisbon, and with Ugarte not even 3 months into his United career, the jury was well and truly still out on the Uruguayan. Fast forward 9 months and there is a real worry Amarim will not get to see the best of the 24-year-old midfielder at United. Ugarte was brought to United for a fee rising to £50.75 million on transfer deadline day last summer. The Uruguay international was signed to be the successor to Casemiro in United's midfield, yet the man he was brought in to replace has started ahead of him in both Premier League games so far this season. The former Paris Saint-Germain star showed glimpses of promise during pre-season, most notably against West Ham, where he was one of the best players on the pitch in a 2-1 win in New Jersey. He again looked bright off the bench against Bournemouth, but regressed dramatically against Everton in the final game of the US tour and has not been seen in a starting 11 since. Opting to start the 33-year-old Casemiro in Premier League games, as brilliant as he once was, is an admission of defeat. Casemiro will be 34 by the time the 2025-26 season comes to an end, and having been on a downward slope for more than 18 months, having him as one of your starting central midfielders when the bell rings at 7 p.m. on September 1st simply isn't an option. It's up to Amarim to make it work with Ugarte, but if he thinks Casemiro is a safer bet in midfield than the man he worked with at Sporting Lisbon, then he clearly doesn't think it will work. There's still time for deals to be done before the transfer window closes. Over to you, United. Man United are rejected Alejandro Garnacho transfer proposals as secret weapon emerges in key deal. Manchester United transfer news, including the latest on Alejandro Garnacho and Rasmus Højlund's future. Manchester United are 2 games into the 2025-26 season and concerns are already surfacing over the quality of Ruben Amorim's squad of players. Despite spending over £200 million on a new-look frontline, United have managed just 1 point from their first 2 games with just 1 goal scored. The 1-1 draw at Fulham left more questions than answers in another frustrating fixture. Fortunately, there is 1 week left of the transfer window and there is still time for United to further strengthen. However, with a trip to Grimsby Town waiting for them this week, Amarim's attention will be the action on the pitch. That doesn't mean there won't be any late business. So with that in mind, let's take a look at the latest transfer news in the last 24 hours. United reject a Garnacho proposal. Alejandro Garnacho has been nowhere to be seen in the first weeks of the season, with it expected that he will leave the club. Chelsea are said to be the favourites to sign the winger. According to Fabrizio Romano, United rejected the chance to sign Tariq George, with Garnacho going the other way. The 19-year-old scored 3 goals and provided 5 assists last term, but is one of the players who faces an uncertain future at the club. However, with Amarim's system not utilising wingers, a move for George was turned down. Gianluigi Donnarumma transfer latest, Man City's agreement, Man United stance, £43 million request. Manchester City and Manchester United are 2 clubs credited with an interest in signing Gianluigi Donnarumma from Paris Saint-Germain this summer transfer window. Gianluigi Donnarumma has 9 days to secure a Premier League move before this summer transfer window closes. Paris Saint-Germain have frozen the Italy international out of their squad this summer at the behest of head coach Luis Enrique after signing Lucas Chevalier from Lille. They are overhauling their goalkeeper department after winning the Champions League, with Arnaud tenors also seemingly surplus to requirements. Matvei Safonov and teenage summer signing Renato Marin are backing up Chevalier to start this season. Let's talk about Man United manager situation today. Amarim can be fired on 5th match in this season. Ruben Amorim under pressure after just 2 matches in new season. Manager has so far secured just 28 points from 29 games as Man United's struggle continues. 2 games into the new season and Ruben Amorim is already feeling the heat. The stats don't lie, he has now managed more Premier League games than he has won points, sitting on 28 points from 87 available. That's a poor record that would get most managers the boot. Sure, it's early days with just 2 matches gone for the new season, but the red warning signs are already flashing. After losing narrowly to Arsenal at home, United couldn't beat Fulham away, drawing 1-1 in a game that exposed all their old problems. The Fulham match was frustrating to watch for Manchester United fans. They had their chances in the first half but couldn't put them away, then captain Bruno went and skied the penalty when they needed it most. In the second half, they did take the lead through an own goal, though it was dodgy. Euro clearly shoved Basie with 2 hands before the header. Even then, they couldn't hold on to it. Smith Rowe came off the bench and scored with his first touch, showing how Silva's subs actually improved Fulham while Amarim's changes made United worse. Splashing cash but no returns. It is really annoying to see Marco Silva's Fulham looking competitive without spending a penny on transfers, while United splashed the cash on their attack and still look toothless, especially in the second half. And don't get me started on leaving Kobbie Mainoo on the bench when their midfield looks so ordinary. Ugarte came on again and did absolutely nothing. Meanwhile, Bayindir in goal looked shaky every time Fulham got a corner. Nobody wants to see a knee-jerk reaction after just 2 games, but that 28 points from 29 matches is genuinely worrying. The Mainoo situation is baffling, and the money needed to make this system work is concerning too. The window is still open, new signings definitely need time to gel, and systems take time to click. But if they're sitting outside top 10 come November, it's time to panic. He might need another keeper and midfielder, but if the basics aren't working, what's the point? He has to get things right sooner than later.